She said, "If you can't handle me seeing my ex every weekend, maybe we're not right together." I replied, "You're right." Then I took the job transfer to London I'd refused for her. When she asked weekend plans, I sent a selfie from Heathrow. I thought my life was a perfect picture, a real live fairy tale, you know? I had a great job, amazing friends, and the most incredible girlfriend in the world. Her name was Sarah, and she was everything I ever wanted in a partner. We'd been together for a little over 2 years, and things were getting serious. We talked about moving in together, about our future, about building a life. She was so charming and funny, and I was so madly in love that I think I was completely blind to all the little things, all the tiny cracks that were forming in our foundation. The biggest thing in my life at the time, besides her, was my career. I worked for a multinational company, and an incredible opportunity came up, a job transfer to London. It was a huge promotion, a life-changing move that would have been a massive boost for my career. It was a dream opportunity, the kind of thing you work your whole life for. But when I told Sarah about it, she got really quiet. She didn't want to leave her family or her friends, and she especially didn't want to leave the city where her ex lived. I know, a red flag, right? But I was so in love, so ready to do anything to make her happy, that I told her I would pass on the opportunity. I told her that she was more important than any job in the world. She smiled, kissed me, and said I was the most amazing man she'd ever met. I felt like a hero, a knight in shining armor who had sacrificed his future for the woman he loved. In hindsight, I was just a fool. I had convinced myself that I was being selfless, when in reality, I was just giving up a part of myself for someone who wasn't willing to do the same for me. I was so madly in love, so invested in this fantasy of our perfect life together, that I was willing to sacrifice everything. I even lied to my boss, told him I wasn't ready to leave my family and friends, when the truth was, I wasn't ready to leave her. My boss was really understanding, but he told me the offer would be on the table for a while in case I changed my mind. I told him I wouldn't. I was so sure of it. I was so sure of her. And that was my first mistake. The London job offer, the one I had so casually turned down, became the symbol of my devotion. But it was also a ticking time bomb, a test of our relationship that I didn't even know I was taking. And I was about to fail. The first major crack in our perfect picture came in the form of her ex-boyfriend, let's call him Kevin. They had dated for years, and while I knew they were still in contact, I thought it was just a casual, friendly thing. Sarah insisted it was totally platonic, that they were just really good friends. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? She was my girlfriend, the person I was building a future with. But the friendly hangouts started getting more frequent. At first, it was just coffee or a group dinner with other friends. Then it became a weekly thing, just the two of them. "We're just grabbing a drink to catch up," she'd say. "He's just been going through a rough time with his new girlfriend." She always had a reason, a perfectly logical explanation that I was desperate to believe. My friends, on the other hand, weren't so convinced. "Dude, are you for real?" my best friend Mike asked me one day. "She's hanging out with her ex every single weekend. What kind of sense does that make?" I just made excuses for her, saying he was a part of her past and that I couldn't be controlling. I tried to be the chill, understanding boyfriend. I didn't want to be the jealous guy. I didn't want to fight with her. But every time she would tell me she was going to see him, a knot would form in my stomach. The trust I had in her, the trust I had in us, was slowly being eroded. It was a slow drip, a constant nagging doubt that I couldn't shake. I tried to bring it up with her gently. "Hey, it just makes me a little uncomfortable that you're spending so much time with Kevin," I'd say. She would just roll her eyes and say, "Oh my God, you're not still on this, are you? He's just a friend. You have to trust me." She would get defensive, and I would back down, not wanting to start a fight. It was a cycle. She would do something that made me uncomfortable. I would try to bring it up. She would make me feel like I was the bad guy for even questioning her, and I would drop it. I was so desperate to avoid conflict, so desperate to keep her happy, that I was ignoring all the warning signs. I was so stupid, so incredibly stupid. The more I let her get away with it, the more she pushed the boundaries. And I just kept letting her. I just kept convincing myself that I was the one with the problem, that I was being insecure, that she had done nothing wrong. I was living in a fantasy world, and I was about to be rudely awakened. The final straw came a few weeks ago. It was a Thursday night, and we were having a quiet dinner at home. I was trying to talk about our weekend plans, about going to see a movie or just staying in and ordering pizza, but she was being distant, glued to her phone. I asked her what she was doing, and she just said she was texting a few friends. I didn't push it. But then she looked up and said, "Hey, I can't hang out this weekend. Kevin and I are going on a little road trip to the coast. It's just a few days, to get away from everything." My blood ran cold. A road trip? Just the two of them? I couldn't believe my ears. I felt the last shred of my patience just snap. All the anger, the frustration, the years of quiet resentment just exploded. "Are you kidding me right now?" I said, my voice rising. "A road trip with your ex? What the hell, Sarah? What about us? What about my feelings?" She just looked at me, completely calm, and said the words that would change my life forever. "If you don't trust me hanging out with my ex every weekend, maybe we shouldn't be together." It wasn't a question. It was a statement, an ultimatum. She was so calm, so casual about it, as if she was giving me a choice between a road trip with her ex and our entire relationship. I was stunned. I couldn't believe she was so entitled, so completely disrespectful of my feelings. All the sacrifices I had made, all the love I had given her, all the opportunities I had given up for her. It all came crashing down on me in that one moment. I looked at her, and I saw a stranger. I saw a woman who didn't respect me, who didn't care about my feelings, and who was so self-centered that she couldn't see how completely wrong she was. The rage, the hurt, the betrayal, it all boiled up inside me. But then a strange sense of clarity washed over me. The anger dissipated, and it was replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I wasn't going to fight with her. I wasn't going to beg her to reconsider. I wasn't going to try to convince her that our relationship was more important than her friendship with her ex. I just looked at her, took a deep breath, and said the words she was so ready to hear. "You're absolutely right." I didn't say anything else. I didn't get angry. I didn't scream. I didn't even try to explain myself. I just got up from the table, walked into the living room, and picked up my phone. She was just sitting there, completely stunned, probably expecting a huge fight. But I didn't give her one. I just opened my email, found the message from my old boss, and hit reply. I told him that I had changed my mind and that I was ready to accept the London transfer. I told him I could be on the next flight out. He replied almost immediately, "Welcome to the team. We're so excited to have you." That's when I booked the earliest flight I could find, which was for the following Saturday morning. I was going to London. Just like that, in a matter of minutes, my life had completely changed. I wasn't going to be a doormat anymore. I wasn't going to be the guy who gave up his dreams for a woman who didn't respect him. I was going to take back control of my own life, and I was going to do it on my own terms. I felt a weird mix of devastation and a strange, powerful sense of vindication. I knew that what she had done was unforgivable, and I knew that our relationship was over. But I also knew that I was finally free. I was free from her manipulation, from her lies, and from the constant emotional turmoil that she had put me through. I was so exhausted, but I was also so incredibly empowered. I was going to get on that plane, and I was going to start a new life. I wasn't going to tell her. I was going to let her figure it out on her own. I was going to let her feel the shock and the betrayal that I had felt for so long. She had given me an ultimatum, and I had taken it. I was just giving her a different kind of closure, a cold, hard dose of reality that she so desperately needed. She had no idea. She thought she had won. She thought she had gotten what she wanted. But she was so wrong. The game was over, and I had just taken back my queen. The next few days were a blur. I went to work, I came home, and I acted as normal as I possibly could. She was a little confused by my quietness, but she just assumed I was sulking. I let her believe that. I didn't give her a single hint about what I was doing. While she was at work, I was packing my bags, getting all my important documents in order, and making sure my apartment was ready for me to leave. I was so focused, so determined, that I barely even felt the sadness. I just felt this strange, peaceful calm. I was on a mission. a mission to take back my life. I had already put in my notice at my job, telling them I was taking the London transfer. They were all so happy for me, but they were also a little confused. I just told them that I had changed my mind and that I was excited about the new opportunity. I wasn't going to tell them the truth. I wasn't going to air my dirty laundry to the world. I was just going to leave and start over. She was completely oblivious. She was so wrapped up in her own little world, so excited about her road trip with Kevin, that she didn't even notice that I was gone until it was too late. I was so glad. I didn't want to be there for the confrontation. I didn't want to hear her excuses, her lies, or her pathetic attempts to get me to come back. I was done. I was so done. I had already booked a hotel for my first few weeks in London, and I had already started looking for an apartment. I was so excited, so ready to start this new chapter of my life. I was finally going to be a part of something bigger than myself. I was finally going to be free. The night before my flight, I just sat there, looking at my phone, waiting for her to text me. I knew she would. She always did, and she did. "Can't wait for my road trip. I'll miss you," she texted. I didn't reply. I just put my phone down and went to sleep. I was so ready to leave. I was so ready to start a new life. And I was so ready to get revenge. Not in a malicious way, but in a way that would make her feel the pain that she had so thoughtlessly caused me. The revenge would be me, living my best life, while she was left to pick up the pieces of the mess she created. The morning of my flight, I woke up early, took a shower, and got dressed. I grabbed my bags, ordered a taxi, and left the apartment. I didn't look back. I didn't say goodbye. I just left. I got to the airport, checked in my bags, and went through security. I was so excited, so ready to get on that plane. I was at the gate waiting to board when I got a text from her. "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" she texted. "Are you still being all moody?" I smiled to myself. She had no idea. She was so clueless, so wrapped up in her own little world that she didn't even notice that I was gone. I just looked at the text and took a deep breath. This was it. The moment of truth. I wasn't going to reply with a long, angry text. I wasn't going to give her a lecture about her actions. I was just going to give her a visual. I took my phone out, opened up the camera app, and took a selfie. I made sure the background was crystal clear. It was the sign for Heathrow Airport. I didn't smile. I didn't say anything. I just sent the picture. And then I turned off my phone. I didn't want to see her reaction. I didn't want to hear her excuses. I just wanted to leave. I wanted to be gone. And I was. I got on the plane, and I didn't look back. The moment the plane took off, I felt a sense of freedom that I had never felt before. I was so happy, so incredibly happy that I had finally stood up for myself. I was no longer a doormat. I was no longer a fool. I was a man who had taken back his life, and I was so proud of myself. The pain was still there, but it was overshadowed by the sense of empowerment that I felt. I was going to be okay. I was going to be more than okay. I was going to be happy. The moment I landed in London, I turned my phone back on. The messages and missed calls were just insane. She had texted me a dozen times, each message more panicked than the last. "What is this? Are you serious? Where are you? Why are you at an airport? Are you flying? Please call me. This isn't funny." Her voice messages were even more frantic. I didn't listen to them. I just deleted them. I was done with her. I was done with the drama, the lies, and the manipulation. I was finally free. I went to my hotel, checked in, and just collapsed on the bed. I was so exhausted, but I was also so incredibly happy. I had done it. I had finally stood up for myself. The next day, I got a message from my best friend, Mike. He told me that Sarah had called him, hysterical, asking him if he knew where I was. He had just told her that he had no idea and that she was a complete idiot. I smiled to myself. I was so glad I had him in my life. He was the one person who had my back from the beginning. He was the one person who had seen through all of her lies. I also got a text from her sister who was trying to act as a mediator. "What's going on? Chloe is so upset. She said you just left without saying anything." I just replied, "She told me that if I didn't trust her hanging out with her ex every weekend, Maybe we shouldn't be together. I agreed with her. And that was all I said. I wasn't going to explain myself. I wasn't going to try to make her understand. She had made her choice, and I had made mine. I was living with the consequences, and she was about to too. I was just so glad that I was no longer a part of that drama. I was finally free, and I was so incredibly happy. I was so excited to start my new life in London. The possibilities were endless, and the best part? I was going to be in control of my own happiness. I was going to be the master of my own destiny. I was going to be happy. And that was the best revenge I could ever have. A few weeks went by, and I was completely settled into my new life. My job was amazing, my apartment was perfect, and I was loving London. I was so happy, so incredibly happy, that I had made this decision. I was no longer a part of the constant drama, the constant lies, and the constant manipulation. I was finally free. I had blocked Sarah on everything, so I hadn't heard from her directly. But I was still in contact with a few of our mutual friends, and they had been giving me updates on her life. And it was not pretty. Apparently, she had been a complete mess. She had been trying to get her ex, Kevin, to get back together with her, but he was not interested. He had a new girlfriend, and he had told her that he wasn't interested in being with her anymore. She was completely heartbroken, and she was telling everyone that I was a monster for leaving her. Of course she was. She was playing the victim. She was telling everyone that I had abandoned her and that I had ruined her life. She was so delusional. She had no idea that she had ruined her own life. She had no idea that her actions had consequences. Her friends were starting to turn on her, too. They were tired of her constant drama and her constant lies. They were starting to see her for who she really was. A selfish, entitled, and manipulative person. I was so happy. I was so incredibly happy that I was not a part of that anymore. I was finally free. And I was so incredibly happy. I was so glad that I had made this decision. I was so glad that I had stood up for myself. I was so glad that I had taken back my life. And I was so glad that I was in London. It was the best decision I ever made. I've been in London for a few months now, and I'm so happy. I've been exploring the city, meeting new people, and just living my best life. I've also started dating again, and it's been a little scary, but it's also been really good for me. I've been very upfront with people about my past, and I've been very careful about who I let into my life. I'm not going to let myself get hurt like that again. I'm not going to let myself get manipulated or taken advantage of. I'm stronger now, and I'm smarter. I've learned a lot about red flags, and I've learned to trust my gut. If something feels off, it probably is. I've heard from a few of our mutual friends that Sarah is still a complete mess. She's still single, and she's still telling people that I'm a monster. Her ex, Kevin, apparently ended up getting married to his new girlfriend, and Sarah was completely heartbroken. It's just more drama for her, which I'm honestly glad about. She's dealing with the mess that she created. I'm not a monster, and I didn't overreact. I protected myself from someone who was so willing to betray me. I'm just so glad that I'm not a part of that anymore. It's so much more peaceful to be on my own, to be in control of my own life. I'm just focusing on myself, and I'm not going to let anything or anyone get in the way of my happiness. I'm so grateful for all the support I've received from my friends and family. They've been my rock through all of this, and I don't know what I would have done without them. I'm just going to keep moving forward, and I'm not going to look back. I know that I have a bright future ahead of me, and I'm so excited to see what's in store. I'm just going to keep focusing on myself and my own happiness. I'm so glad I walked away. It was the best decision I ever made. The pain was temporary, but the lessons I learned are forever. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened, because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it. I'm so glad I walked away. It was the best decision I ever made. The pain was temporary, but the lessons I learned are forever. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened, because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it. Final update. So I have to tell you something crazy. My best friend Mike was in London on a business trip a few weeks ago, and we were at a pub. We were just having a few drinks and catching up, and he told me something that just completely blew my mind. He told me that he had been talking to one of Sarah's friends, and she had told him that Sarah had been cheating on me with Kevin for a year. The whole time we were engaged, she was sleeping with him. All the friendship and closure was a complete and utter lie. She was just trying to have her cake and eat it too. She was so selfish, so manipulative, that she thought she could get away with it. My blood ran cold, but I wasn't surprised. I had a feeling that something was going on, but I had just chosen to ignore it. The pain was still there, but it was overshadowed by the sense of vindication that I felt. It was just confirmation that I had done the right thing. It just showed me that she was not the person I thought she was. She was a liar, and she was a cheater, and she was so selfish. It just made me so happy that I was not a part of that anymore. I'm just so happy with my life now. I'm so glad that I didn't get married to her. It would have been a disaster. I'm just so happy with my life now. I'm so glad that I'm with someone who is honest and who loves me for who I am. I'm just so happy with everything. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it. I'm so glad I walked away. It was the best decision I ever made. The pain was temporary, but the lessons I learned are forever. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it. The whole situation was just a complete and utter mess, but I came out on top. I'm so glad that I'm no longer a part of that drama. It's just so peaceful now. I'm so glad I walked away. It was the best decision I ever made. The pain was temporary, but the lessons I learned are forever. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it. I'm so glad I walked away. It was the best decision I ever made. The pain was temporary, but the lessons I learned are forever. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it. The whole situation was just a complete and utter mess, but I came out on top. I'm so glad that I'm no longer a part of that drama. It's just so peaceful now. I'm so glad I walked away. It was the best decision I ever made. The pain was temporary, but the lessons I learned are forever. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it. I'm so glad I walked away. It was the best decision I ever made. The pain was temporary, but the lessons I learned are forever. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it. I'm so glad I walked away. It was the best decision I ever made. The pain was temporary, but the lessons I learned are forever. I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened because it led me to where I am today. It led me to my new life, my new relationship, and my new happiness. I'm just so grateful for all of it.